Jacob sent to Laban. Jacob sent to Laban. 46. Rebekah said to Isaac, I am disgusted with life. I'm disgusted with life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob also should marry a Hittite woman, a native of the land like these women, why should I live? Why should I even live? Wait, what's the question? So Rebekah said to Isaac, I am disgusted with life because of the Hittite women. If Jacob also should marry a Hittite woman, a native of the land like these women, why should I live? Chapter 28. So I guess the question is, what the fuck is up with Rebekah? What the hell did the Hittite women ever do to Rebekah? And clearly she is using shenanigans, trying to be a manipulative little jerk. Look what you did, you little jerk. Jacob should marry a Hittite woman, a native, if. So she's trying to make sure Jacob doesn't marry a Hittite woman. Well, who the hell is Jacob going to marry, Rebekah? Who in the hell is Jacob going to marry? Isaac therefore summoned Jacob and blessed him, charging him, you shall not marry a Canaanite woman. And it's got an exclamation point. You shall not marry a Canaanite woman. I thought it was the Hittite women. Now we're not, all the Canaanite women, not just the Hittite women, but all of Canaan, but Papa. Isaac also summoned Jacob. Summoned, isn't that what the devil does? They summon Isaac. Summons Jacob and then blesses him. Blesses him. Isaac, come here. Hey, Pops, what's up? I bless you in the name of the Lord, the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Ghost. Alright, cool. What, do you have any business, or was that... Oh, okay, yeah. You don't want me to marry a Canaanite woman? Is it because, Rebekah hates the Hittite women? Because they're not all Hittite women. There's other women besides... Go now to Paddan-aram. That's the name of the town. Paddan-aram. It's two different words. Paddan-aram. I don't like going... Paddan-aram? I don't want to say Paddan-aram. Where do you live, Paddan-aram? Where's your hometown, Paddan-aram? No. Bethlehem. Oh, little town of Bethlehem. How still we see thee lie. Go now to Paddan-aram, to the home of your mother's father Bethuel. Bethuel. Yeah, nice name there, Bethuel. And there choose a wife. And there choose a wife for yourself from among the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. So Laban is a place, or Laban is the guy? Because it's Jacob sent to Laban. Your mother's brother. And then you're supposed to pick a wife from the daughters of Laban, your mother's brother. That would be your cousin, right? Your mother's brother is your uncle. And so your brother's daughters, your mother's brother's daughters is your cousin. What are you telling me, Isaac? Isaac is trying to tell Jacob, don't marry a Canaanite woman. Now go to Paddan-aram, stupid sounding name, the home of your mother's father's Bethuel, and marry one of your cousins. This is inspired by God. This is God is telling Isaac to do this. God is telling Isaac to tell Jacob to go. May God Almighty bless you and make you fertile, multiply you. May you come back in the assembly of peoples. May God extend to you and your descendants the blessings of Abraham, so that you gain possession of the land you're residing, which he assigned to Abraham. Then Isaac sent Jacob on his way. He went to Paddan-aram to Laban, son of Bethuel the Aramean, and brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. So Rebekah is the mother of Jacob and Esau. So Isaac is the father, right? Esau noted that Isaac had blessed Jacob when he sent him to Paddan-aram to get himself a wife there, and that as he gave him his blessing, he charged him, you shall not marry a Canaanite woman, and that Jacob had obeyed his father and mother and gone to Paddan-aram. Esau realized how displeasing the Canaanite women were to his father Isaac. So Esau went to Ishmael, and in addition to the wives he had already had, he married another, Mahalath, the daughter of Abraham's son Ishmael, and sister of Nebaioth. Nebaioth. Esau realized how displeasing, so he went and married Mahalath. So, what the hell is going on? I am totally confused by what the hell is going on, because they're blessing him and saying you get all the blessings, right? But I thought that the blessing, Jacob got the blessing. But Esau didn't get the blessing, and then he's getting another blessing here, because he got the blessing, right? He tricked him. He tricked him, he was old, and he's like, hey, I'm really Esau, give me the blessing. He's all right, I'll give you the blessing. And now he's getting another blessing. He just keeps on getting blessing after blessing, and blessings are easy, right? You could just say, hey, I give you my blessing. But apparently Isaac was like, I already gave my blessing to Jacob. I can't give it to you now, Esau. I've already given my blessing to Jacob. Once you give your blessing away once, you can never give it back. And you can't give it away to anybody else. You can only give it away to once. And then Isaac is coming back here, fucking summoning Jacob and telling him he can't marry a Canaanite woman. Again, what the hell did the Hittite women do and the Canaanite women do that they forced Isaac's hand to make Jacob go and marry his cousin? And he's going to go marry his cousin in Laban. And then what happens then? What happens to Ishmael and Mahalath and Esau? Jacob's dream at Bethel. And then he just got the blessing or whatever, and Rebekah is all about it too. So, okay, a glimpse of Rebekah's shrewdness is provided by 27:42-28:2. She's aware of Esau's murderous plot against Jacob, but realizes the episode of the stolen blessing is still painful to Isaac. She therefore uses another motive to persuade Isaac to send Jacob away. He must marry within the family. Endogamy, unlike Esau. Esau, unreflective as usual, realizes too late he also should marry within the family, but significantly marries from Abraham's rejected line. Mahalath. Abraham's rejected line. At this point in the story, Jacob and his mother have taken the blessing for themselves. Their actions have put Jacob in a precarious position. He must flee the land because of his brother's murderous intent and find a wife in a far country. One might ask how God's blessing can be given to such an unworthy schemer. There is a biblical pattern of preferring the younger brother or sister over the older. Isaac over Ishmael, Jacob over Esau, Rachel over Leah, Joseph over his older brothers, and Ephraim over Manasseh. That's Genesis 48:14. That's Genesis 48:14. David over his older brothers. As Jacob is leaving the land on his way to an uncertain future in Paddan-aram, God appears to him at a sacred place that Jacob had visited only to take a night's rest. Jacob's unawareness of the holiness of the place underscores the graciousness of the gift. On his return to Canaan, he will again encounter. Is that the Cain and Abel, Canaanites? He will again encounter a divine visitor in the form of the mysterious attacker. And after his return and reconciliation with Esau, he will again go to Bethel. 35:1-15, 35:1-15. When Jacob awoke, okay, so here we have Jacob's dream at Bethel. And that'll finish chapter 28. And then I'll talk about some things. Jacob departed from Beersheba. This is Jacob's dream at Bethel. Jacob departed from Beersheba and proceeded towards Haram. When he came upon a certain place, he stopped there for the night, since the sun had already set. Taking one of the stones at the place, Jacob, he put the stone under his head and he lay down in that place. He then had a dream of a stairway, a ladder. Jacob's ladder? No, a stairway. Is it an escalator? God's angels were going up and down on it. It sounds like an escalator to me. A ladder, stairway. You can't just go up and down casually on no ladder or stairway. Not a ladder. I mean, that's too much effort, too much work. And then what if you slip and then everybody's just walking in line? God's angels were going up and down a ladder, a staircase. Nah, if this is the God that I know that God is, it's a goddamned escalator. And there was the Lord standing beside him and saying, I am the Lord. Of course. And of course, there was big old God with his butt just hanging out. Why don't you? He don't even have a loincloth on. And there was the Lord standing beside him and saying, I am the Lord, the God of Abraham, your father, and the God of Isaac. Okay. A little pretentious, don't you think? The land on which you're lying I will give to you and your descendants. That's nice. I thank you. Your descendants will be like the dust of the earth, and through them you will spread to the west and the east, to the north and the south, and in you and your descendants all the families of the earth will find blessing. I am with you and will protect you wherever you go and bring you back to this land. I will never leave you until I have done what I have promised you. When Jacob awoke from his sleep, he said, truly the Lord is in this place, and I did not know it. He was afraid and said, how awesome this place is. There is nothing else but the house of God and the ladder of all those angels, the gateway to heaven, the stairway, the escalator, the escalators of heaven. Early the next morning, Jacob took the stone that he had put under his head, set it up as a sacred pillar, and poured oil on top of it. Like a freak show, he named that place Bethel, whereas the former name of the town had been Luz. Luz, L-U-L-Z, no, Luz. Could be Luz, but the second L just is not there. The second L just is not there. Jacob then made this vow, God will be with me and protect me on this journey I am making and give me food to eat, clothes to wear, and I come back safely to my father's house. The Lord will be my God. This stone that I have set up as a sacred pillar will be the house of God. Of everything that you give me, I will return a tenth part to you without fail. Oh, Jesus Christ. Jesus, Muhammad Christ. That's the reason. Tithe. They want a tenth of your belongings. That's all they're trying to do. Oh, boy. Here God is sitting there saying, if you do all this great stuff, Jacob, just make sure you give me a tenth of everything you do. How convenient. Oh, you just want a tenth of everything that I do? Just a tenth? I mean, for the eternal riches in heaven, a tenth is nothing. For the everlasting blessing of God the Father, what is $1 million of your wealth? It is nothing. Will you just give me $1 million? Do I have to keep talking this religious shit, or will you just give me the money? This stone that I have set up as a sacred pillar will be the house of God. The one that he poured oil all over. What a waste of oil. It's like the damn sheep. Cain and Abel, they sacrificed the sheep. What a waste. You could have had a feast. Instead, you just wasted a fucking life for no reason. Arrival in Haran, chapter 29. That's the end of chapter 28. So, there you go. There's 50 chapters in Genesis, so, you know. And then, look at all these books. I mean, the New Testament isn't just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, right? Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. It's also Acts, Romans, Corinthians. And it was the Romans who killed Jesus. So is this the perspective of the Romans? The duty of the Christians from the Romans' perspective? Galatians, Ephesians, Philippians. I think some of these are letters to these people, right? Thanksgiving, I give thanks to my God at every remembrance of you. Philippians, Colossians, Philemon, Hebrews, Peter, letter to John, second letter to John, letter of Jude, and then Revelation. Oh, shit. Revelations. Oh, shit. The 1,000-year reign. Oh, shit. Acts. What? Why Acts? What's Acts about? Well, the Acts of the Apostles, the second volume of Luke's two-volume work, continues Luke's presentation of biblical history, describing how the salvation promised to Israel in the Old Testament, accomplished by Jesus, has now, under the guidance of the Holy Spirit, been extended to the Gentiles. This was accomplished through the divinely chosen representatives, Acts 10:41, whom Jesus prepared during his historical ministry, Acts 1:21-22, and commissioned after his resurrection as witnesses to all that he taught, Acts 1:8-10-37-43, Luke 24-48. Luke's preoccupation with the Christian community as the Spirit-guided bearer of the word of salvation rules out of his book detailed histories of the activity of most of the preachers. Only the main lines of the roles of Peter and Paul serve Luke's interest. So yeah, that's so Genesis. There's two parts to Genesis. You have the first 11 books, and then you have books 12 to 50. So the first part is all the stories that most people know about the Bible, really. So I have a theory that most Americans haven't read past book 11 of Genesis. So any of these books, they'll say, what the hell are you even talking about? King Darius had nothing to do with Daniel and the lion's den. It had everything to do with King Darius. King Darius. So God's promise to a very dysfunctional family. You know, Abraham, was he even 2 times he gives Sarah away? Oh, he's not. Oh, that's not. And then Sarah is going to make Abraham sleep with the servant woman. And then she gives birth to a different a lineage than Abraham. What the hell is going on? Why did Sarah tell Abraham to have sex with the slave? And why did they have a slave? And then that's the mother of your child now, so that's, you can't call her a slave no more. That's the. And then they have 2 sons, Esau and Jacob. Is that Sarah, or is that and then apparently they steer the inheritance from blind old Abe. Jacob loves Joseph, the 11th one of the 12th son. He gives him a nice colorful dream coat, and that makes his brothers all jealous, so they sell him down the river, sell him as a slave in Egypt. But guess what? Joseph, you can't hold a good man down. You cannot hold a good man down. Joseph is going to rise up, not just as a gladiator, but as a slave, and become the number 2. He's Pharaoh's second fiddle. He is the vice president. He is the Kamala Harris of Egypt. You got the Pharaoh, and then you got Joseph. And then Joseph, his brothers are going to cry. They're starving and hungry and whatnot. And then Joseph jumps behind the curtain, and he's like, guess what? I'm the brother that you fucked over, but guess what? I'm not mad. I'm not mad. And apparently that's the whole point of the story, is that God will essentially take your terrible story and then make it into something good. So, yeah, God, Jacob loved Joseph, give him a nice coat. Who knew that being bought a nice coat is going to get you sold down the river to be a slave in Egypt? And then who knew that you being a slave in Egypt was going to get you, it's crazy how life is. If I'd have been like, hey, how can I get into Pharaoh's good graces, I don't think I would have chose this direct route. But that's just, life is crazy that way, isn't it? How am I going to get into Pharaoh? Well, get your brothers to sell you down the river to be a slave. Be a slave for a while, then the cotton, and then the thing. Remember, with the lashes, and then all over the wall. Bing, bam, boom. Now you're the second fiddle under Pharaoh. Now you're the vice president of Egypt. And then now you get to save your family and your brothers, and everybody lived happily ever after. You know what Abraham's first name was? It was Abram. So God is going to change Abram's name to Abraham. I don't know. Laws, right? When they're Bethel. Bethel was, the old name was Luz, and then it was changed to Bethel. That's interesting, isn't it? Where's my writing utensil? So, do I want to talk about any more? Not particularly. Somehow God is going to use this family to bring humanity back to the Garden of Eden. So that's the story of Genesis. That's the overarching story of Genesis. And so the part that we read is just the part of, you have Jacob and you got Isaac. And Jacob and Isaac, and they have to go to his uncle's house, his mother's brothers, Jacob's maternal uncle, Laban. And they're going to Paddan-aram. Is Paddan-aram still a city today? Home of the father's maternal. Bethuel. Bethuel was the father of Rebekah. Hey, Rebekah, what's your father's name? Bethuel. Get the hell out of here. God bless. To be fertile and get back to Abraham. He's like, hey, Jacob, good luck to you. You need to get the hell out of here. I've given you my blessing. Esau's going to be all pissed off. I feel like they're kind of blaming it on Jacob, but Isaac probably just liked Jacob better and was kind of like, hey, here's my blessing. Now get the hell out of here. Because to make it seem like he schemed, it's kind of an asshole. Kind of being an asshole to poor old Jacob. Jacob's the one that had that dream, right, of the by the stairway to heaven. Laban, son of Bethuel, the Aramean. What's an Aramean brother? The Hittites, the Arameans, the Canaanites. The Canaanites, brother of Rebekah, the mother of Jacob and Esau. Rebekah is the mother of Jacob and Esau. So apparently both Rebekah and Isaac kind of like Jacob better than Esau. Well, we've given you our blessing, Jacob. Now you get the hell on out of here. But you said you love me, I know. But now that you have, we've picked you as our favorite, so you're going to be the one that carries on everything. Esau, he's got 17,000 wives. We have no idea what he is doing. Esau went to Ishmael, and then in addition to the 17,000 wives he already had, he married another Mahalath. And then Mahalath is the fucking disgraced Abraham lineage. Oh, Esau, you fucked up again, God damn it, Esau. Esau, you fucked up again. Daughter of Abe's son, Ishmael. That is not what I wanted out of you, Esau Pukis. Esau Pukis, because Isaac, his father, hated the Canaanite woman. Why, Mama, Papa? Why must I go to? Where is this place? Did you MapQuest it? Can you print out directions for me? Got GPS? Paddan-aram. Paddan-aram. You know there was a person that killed right next to Bethlehem recently? So, what do we learn from this story? I'll tell you what I learned from this story. It seems fucking crazy to me that we would pass this stupid ass story with all these dumb details from, book to book to book for all these goddamn years for no apparent reason. Paddan-aram, Isaac, Jacob were using all these specific names of these specific characters in this land, and they're using all these names of the lands, of the cities and shit. I don't believe any of the first 11 books, but the next 39 books, the next 40, almost 40 books, I believe there's something to them, because it doesn't make any sense to just pass along, I feel like this was the elders, the rabbis, just saying, no, these are the texts that we believe that closely approximate our historical understanding. Our understanding of history to the closest degree to the truth. Now, saying that, I want to look more into Saul and David and Solomon. I think Solomon and David and Saul we could really learn a bunch from, because it seems like that's when history begins, that's when Judaism begins. And Saul, or David, is 1000 BC, and you have who's 500 BC? Confucius. So that means King David is older than Confucius, and then Moses is 1300 BC, and then Gilgamesh is 2400 BC. So Gilgamesh is still the first king of kings. Gilgamesh is the first hero, and not even because he was heroic, he was a terrible king, but he was the first king in history. There's the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's also intertwined with God shit, and who knows what the reality of the situation was, but I don't give a shit about the city of Uruk, the walls of Uruk, because who gives a shit? But now that you got a Gilgamesh, Now the people of Uruk, now they matter because it's personified in a individual. It's personified in a face and a name and a very specific person. So I think the first 11 books is a bunch of horse shit. So that's all the fucking beginning. In the first 11 books, that's, Adam and Eve, bullshit. Motherfucking Noah, bullshit. Even Abraham and Moses, I'm kind of like, I don't think so. Abraham and Moses, it's King David. I think when King David happens, that's, there's a serpent, huh? The serpent started talking. Oh, okay. Are you smoking crack? Oh, okay. So then all of a sudden God farted, and then that created a lion because he farted. And then he sneezed and what? Created a goddamn tiger? And what's his earwax? I guess his earwax is an elephant, huh? What the hell are you talking about? And then the Garden of Eden. And then, of course, it was womankind, right? The tree of knowledge of good and evil. That's the church saying, I know good and evil. You need to always come to me if you want to know good versus evil, because I know everything. You just need to depend on my authority. Don't think for yourself. Oh my God, that goes against rationality. That goes against the Enlightenment. That goes against natural law. Don't think for yourself. Motherfucker, I have to think for myself. If I don't think for myself, who the hell's going to think for me? Jesus Christ. Guo Monty, the big lie. Oh, hey, did you eat that apple? I told you. And then that's another thing. Adam and Eve is pretty... I only told you one goddamn thing. Don't eat that apple over there. Which one? This one? Yep. That's the only rule I had for you. Don't sit in this chair right here. Don't take a shit on the floor. That was the only... And then Noah and the ark. What a dumb story Noah and the ark is. And then there was bad men and God killed everybody. It genocided the whole world with a big flood. And then had Noah build an ark, and then he sailed all over the world or whatever. Why not put him on a spaceship and then send him to, a different goddamn... All because the authors didn't know about the planets and all the... shit back in the... okay, so bullshit. Fucking bullshit. And then how the hell would you know about it? Also, all the damn animals, 2 by 2, up in the ark. How did the lions not eat the fucking antelope? And then how did the antelope keep eating grass? Did you have a whole bunch of grain for... 40 days and 40 nights? And then were they the best family ever? This kind of goes... consistently with Abraham, right? They're saying this one family is God's chosen people. We've been following this one family for a long time. So the God of Abraham is the God of Moses, is the God of Jesus, is the God of God of David. David is the only one that's actually real. And then it ends off the chapter 11 with the Tower of Babel. And what's the Tower of Babel? That's where you have all the people of the world, Babylon, Babel, I don't know, babbling. You just have a bunch of assholes building a fucking big-ass tower. They're going to try to build a big old tower to God. We're going to build a tower straight to God. And then that pissed off some of the people, and then that made God all pissed off. Oh, you think you're going to build a tower up to me? You're not going to build it. And then God changed all the people's languages. So everybody was speaking different languages. They couldn't coordinate together. And then the tower didn't get built. And then they couldn't, if they built the tower, they would have seen there is no God. Wait, I thought there was a God up in these clouds. You've been in an airplane. Did you see a God up there? No, but he's up there higher. By Pluto somewhere. We got the Voyager 1 and 2. They're just kind of floating out there endlessly. So that's the first goddamn... And I bet you that's all most Americans know about. Goddamn Babel. Goddamn Noah. Goddamn Adam and Eve. Noah, Adam and Eve, Babel. And those are just bullshit stories. Those were fucking clearly bullshit stories. Those stories are lies. What? I don't believe Big Bang or evolution or natural selection. How come? Because the Bible said it was just Adam and Eve, bang, boom, bam, boom. There they were. Well, how did they make Adam and Eve? How did God make Adam and Eve? Well, first he took some dirt, right, and he just kind of blew on the dirt, and then that was man. So man's just a pile of dirt. Yep, isn't that true? Oh, ain't that right? And then he took man's rib, and he blew on the rib, and that made woman. That analogy I don't really understand as much. Woman is like a part of man or something. She's kind of like just a rib to man. I mean, because we have like a rib cage, She's just a rib. And no, that's not how womankind came to be. And wrong. No, there wasn't a big ass fucking dude up in the clouds who blew his hand into some dirt and created a man and then blew his hand on the man's rib to create a woman. That did not happen. That didn't happen. There was no genocide. He didn't wipe out the whole fucking world, and there was no Tower of Babel. All these are literary devices for this fucking Abraham shit and Jacob and the 12 sons and Joseph. So, you know, by juxtaposing books 1 to 11 in front of 12 to 50, in a way, it makes 12 to 50 seem more real. Books 1 to 11 is horse shit. It is horse shit. It's talking about the creation of the world. It's talking about just a bunch of origin stories. And so, yeah, a bunch of bullshit. Just a bunch of bullshit. So the more I think about what is the Bible, I mean, if we're just following the chosen people, it's good. You know, you have a right to religion. You want to be Jewish, that's cool. But since it follows bloodlines, that means I'll never be Jewish. So when I look at this is not my narrative. This isn't my, my bloodlines. What it makes me want to do is kind of follow my bloodlines as far back as I can and then juxtapose it with all of human history. Because there's some people, right, you got Gilgamesh. Gilgamesh is older than King David and somebody else. That Enkidu and Gilgamesh. But Saul, David, Solomon, that's a good story. That'll probably be my next story. And then Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John. That's interesting too. Who the hell are these people? I mean, they're going to kind of supplement. They're going to say that we're going to change the message from the Old Testament. The Old Testament had a very specific message, and then Jesus comes along, and then he has a different kind of message. And then, like I said, it's not just Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. You also had all those other goddamn books, afterwards. So, and then who put all these books together? Basically, the early Jewish rabbis and the early Christians just said, we're going to put these together. There's a lot of books that are not a part of the Bible. I'll just read those off, and then here's some of the lost books of the Bible. The Gospel of the Infancy of Jesus, the Infancy Gospel of Thomas, the Proto-Evangelion, the Epistles of Jesus and Abgarius, king of Edessa, Gospel of Nicodemus, Apostles' Creed, Epistle of Paul the Apostle to the Laodiceans, Epistles of Paul the Apostle to Seneca, with Seneca's to Paul, Acts of Paul and Thel, whole bunch of shit here. The Apocrypha, there's apparently like one big book that they're like, that was a big book that the early rabbis and early Christians had forgotten. So there's just, some assholes a long time ago said these are the books that we're going to put together, and that's the books that we're going to worship. And then, the Gutenberg print and press revolution made the Bible huge. But we're talking about, the Jewish people and what do the Jewish people believe. When I think about Christianity versus Judaism, Christianity is the progressive one, right? That's the Judaism 2.0. And so Judaism would be the conservative, the continuity. If you believe in continuity and if you believe in being conservative, then you'd, be a Jew. You would be Jewish. If you're into religion and you pick the conservative religion, you would be Jewish. But then, Christianity is Judaism 2.0, and then Islam is Judaism 3.0. And then Fred Hamptonism is Judaism 4.0. And that's where you just kind of say, all right, put all that crap to the side. We can kind of figure shit out a lot better than how they could figure shit out back in the Bronze Age. So let's kind of configure all this. Let's kind of reconfigure all this. David and Goliath. David had Uriah killed. Solomon came from David and Bathsheba. And Bathsheba was Uriah's wife. So was that good? Should David have killed the soldier? The soldier loved Bathsheba, but he wanted Bathsheba for himself. But then you get Solomon, and so King David and King Solomon are like, notoriously like good kings. Solomon's temple, I think, is still in existence today. And then the emperors. We never actually talk about the whole thing with Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ was killed by the Romans. Pontius Pilate, right? King Herod, he's born in King Herod's time. And then they talk about Augustus. Augustus, his reign, the first emperor of Rome is Augustus, 27 BC to 14 AD. And then the second one is Tiberius. So who killed Jesus? Tiberius. Now he's going to end his reign 37 AD, possibly Caligula. You might be able to say Caligula, but I think Jesus was born 4 to 6 BC, and then he's going to die like 36, right? So that puts him in Tiberius's range, 14 to 37 AD. Caligula is 37 to 41 AD, and then Claudius is 41 to 54 AD. But the first emperor of Rome, Augustus. The second emperor of Rome, Tiberius. Who killed Jesus? Who was the emperor of Rome when Jesus, one of the Roman, prefects, killed Jesus? The Christ, Tiberius. So people want to put, goddamn Kanye wants to go along with the bullshit propaganda where they just kind of blame the Jewish people. So Pontius Pilate, acts like he asked the crowd of Jewish people that was there, and then they said, crucify him. But Pontius Pilate was a fucking Roman fucking government piece of shit. Pontius Pilate was an oppressor, a fascist piece of shit. Pontius Pilate, you could have said no to the crowd and said, I'm going with justice. No, I'm going to protect Jesus. Pontius Pilate acts like his hands were tied. I had no choice. When I said to the people, do they want to murder you? And they all said, yeah, what can I do about that? Say no, motherfucker. Are you that easily swayed by any, a little bit of applause? Also, John the Baptist is going to get beheaded by Herod and Antipas. John the Baptist got beheaded by Herod Antipas. And Herod Antipas was real. So